Oh my God.
Oh.
Ooh, I better run.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the last weekend of Sundays of Scares, where we will finish off with what else but Halloween.
Yeah,
I'm Richard, and my partner in crime is Jason, not
Jason.
Michael Myers. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Doing good for a Sunday evening. How about
Okay,
yourself?
I'm glad to hear that. I'm not doing too bad either.
Awesome.
So, we're doing Halloween. You said you watched that this morning.
Yes.
Uh,
Early morning. So it was still dark outside. So I did get a kind of a feel of being a little scared when I was watching it and the
a
thrills.
little scared.
Yeah. Little jumpy at parts.
So, when did you first see this movie, Jason?
Um this actually when it I mean the time when it was came out, it's like I was a little kid, so was not able to see it then. But that name has always, when I got older and was able to see horror movies, that name Michael Myers was always a key to horror movies. Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy Krueger, all these different names. So when I first got to be able to watch this one, it was actually a great. I mean, something different for me to see the original, because this is the original one. I know they had a lot of remakes, but this is the original from director John Carpenter.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
probably saw this.
What made you want to actually? I want to ask that question too. Is what made you want to um, pick this one as your pick for this October? What made you pick this movie?
Well, it was my first R-rated horror film.
There you go.
I probably saw this during the original run, as after Mick was able to, as expanded and got more theater runs, because it probably took a while to get to my small town theater, but I did. This is like the first R-rated. I know I was probably about 14 or so,
Uh-huh.
and I went to go see this, and being 14, your main goal when you go to see an R-rated movie is to see boobs.
That's right.
That's
That's
your goal when you're 14 and you get into an R-rated movie, is you
right.
want to see boobs. That's why you're there.
Not
There's
the
no,
bloody guts.
no, that's fine, but when you're 14, that's always the goal. Get promoted from PG to R, so you can actually see some, well, blood and gore too. I mean, PG had its limits,
Yeah, yeah, I
but
do.
that's why I picked it, because it was
Okay.
the first horror film. I think it was my second R-rated film, but this was my first horror one.
Oh,
And
okay.
I
Okay.
mean, and
Difference.
what a way to start it off, though, with Halloween. I mean, when I was
Yeah.
younger, I heard family members talking about The Exorcist when it first came to theaters,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed like that was causing quite the stir back when it came out in, I don't know what year it was, came out, early 70s, 74, 70. No, before that it was probably early 70s. But I heard that it seemed like everybody was talking about The Exorcist, and
Mm-hmm.
it seemed like that was something I couldn't go see. Well, of course I wouldn't want to go see it when I was that young.
Yeah.
I was probably still before I was a teenager. So, but still, I heard the family people talking about this Exorcist thing. And, like I told you before, I grew up in a time up here in Ohio where there were several horror hosts, and every Fridays and Saturdays you would spend your weekend watching these hosts have these B movie horror films that were packaged early in the 50s and sent out to different places, to different net TV stations. And for some reason, someone decided, well, if we're going to show these things, let's have a horror host them, or someone got the idea. And then, that's where, I don't know where it originated, maybe in California with, what the Mistress
Elvira.
or whatever. Well, Elvira was later. I mean, we're talking about, the first one, the Mistress of the Dark or whatever her name was.
Elvira.
Well, Elvira was later. I keep saying this, we're talking about the 50s. And
Oh,
Elvira was, we're talking about in the origins of when these horror hosts started. And I'm sure every city across the nation had somebody.
Yeah.
There was somebody in the region, and I'm sure, I know California had a slew of them. I mean, everybody did. And I know Ohio, when I was little, we had 3, and we had one Friday, one Saturday night, and one Saturday during the day. And and so you stop meowing, I'm right here. What the hell do you want? The cat's meowing at me. I don't know what the hell she wants. But like I said, the first film was Halloween R-rated. And, so, then after that, then, I got older and blah, blah, blah. And then along came HBO and stuff like that. So you were, started watching other things that came out later, like Friday the 13th and
yes,
all the other kind of, I guess, the copycats, as you would call them now, of this movie. But Halloween, it's interesting. But Halloween, I guess it was interesting. I mean, it's been a while, and I really don't. But it was interesting to find out that this movie was made for $320,000.
Wow.
And
not even a million. Not even a million level. 1,000, just 1,000.
No.
Wow.
And at that time, all the major movies were probably spending 20 plus million for a budget. And John Carpenter and them got this $300,000 from an investor, a producer over in England.
Yes.
And I guess the producer in England's name was Michael Myers.
Exactly. That was funny. That's funny. What a coincidence.
Yeah, well, before John Carpenter came out with Halloween, he did this movie it was called Siege. Then it was called Assault on Precinct 13. It kind of bombed here, as you know, and then it found success in London or England. Yep. And the distributor there wanted to enter it into a film festival in London, and he did, and it won, and that kind of gave them some cachet. And then so as a tribute to the guy that helped him, with the film, they named the character after him, and and everybody knows who Michael Myers is.
That's right.
Probably probably back when they were doing this, well, no one's gonna know who this Michael Myers person is anyway. No one's gonna see it, so why even worry about it? But it came out, and it was interesting how the movie came about. But this is one of those things where you get your family and your friends and you want to make a movie, and you just chip in and you make a movie. You don't worry about, you have a budget, but it's mostly a labor of love. And this was, and as you know, that even though this was supposed to be in Illinois, it was filmed in Southern California.
Yes.
So,
over in Chicago, I think it was, right? Or was it Chicago? Or
it was Haddonfield. Remember, it was a fictional small town.
Oh, okay, yes.
And then the house was in southern Pasadena, and that street scene was in Hollywood, right off of Sunset. John Carpenter said. So I mean, but I mean, if you're really watching, you'll see some palm trees.
Yeah, I noticed that.
But you're not going to find in the Midwest. But when you're watching the movie for the first time, you don't care about that. You're just, this is what's next? What's going to happen in this movie? But there are things that you forgive, and I know in this day and age, people like to pick shit apart. But back
They
then,
did.
what? Who cares? You know, I mean, you know, it was, and plus they probably didn't care either, since they think that, since their thought was it's not going to go anywhere. You know, you make it and you hope it gets some kind of recognition, but you're thinking, it's not going to do much. But we're going to make a movie and get a credit.
Right, right, exactly.
And so,
It it
so
started off really interesting. I mean, I would say how the movie, in my opinion, how it started was very kind of eerie when you kind of seeing two two people making out. It's like you were saying earlier, it's about seeing boobs and those things. Like, hey, this starts off pretty good when you were 14 years old. I bet when you're seeing two teenagers in the little room or down the bottom making out, and then one of them is kind of saying, "Okay, let's go upstairs." You're like, "Okay, let's get busy." So
yeah,
it was kind of a good start to this movie. Is like, don't know what's going to happen next, but it's like, okay, we're
yeah.
gonna maybe see some things.
Well, then the get busy part didn't really get seen. We just,
Nope.
you know, well, then we
That was funny.
yeah. But then after that, we started getting the eerie music and the walk around the house. Now,
Yes.
at the time, Panavision had just come out with what is today known as the Steadicam, the one where you walk around with it. Because before, all the
Yes.
cameras were stationary. So, and I believe they said this was the second movie to use it.
No kidding. Huh. I didn't know that part of the of a movie being used to move, actually physically move in
Yeah,
the camera.
because it was brand new, and I think Carpenter saw it at USC or Panavision or something,
Oh,
and they it's the second one to use it, and that was what they used to walk around the house and up the stairs
right.
to get the
Right.
knife. That was all the steady. That was all the Steadicam stuff. Only
Yes.
problem back then with the Steadicam is that you only had 5 minutes of film in a reel.
Okay. That's what the setup was when you filming that type of movie
So you have
or
to time everything out, because if you don't, you'll, because it's not a very big reel, but it's a steady
oh,
cam, and you can actually, I mean, it's used all the time now, but back then, this was, and plus, I guess that's the thing about this Halloween movies, that even though it had this small budget, it was still able to get this high tech at the
yeah.
time camera
Uh-huh.
and use it,
Right.
and I remember, I think they said they spent 70,000 on the camera equipment.
Okay.
So I don't know. Usually you rent that stuff. I don't think you buy it outright. Sometimes you do, but some of it might have been rented. But still, of a $300,000 budget, spending $70,000 on that kind and on all that stuff. So
Wow.
even
That's
though,
impressive.
what's that?
That's impressive.
Yeah. Well, it's. I mean, that's a lot of money back then too. I mean,
Yeah.
but so yeah, they were like you said, and then you see this knife and the little and the boy stabbing his sister, and really have to pay attention. It's hard to see out and through that mask because the sister's kind of naked, but the first thing is you don't care
Yeah.
about. You're not really worried about that, because you hear this boom, you hear this stabbing. You're not really paying attention to all that other
No.
stuff,
No, you
because
weren't.
you had this little boy stabbing his sister and little Michael Myers, and so
Yeah.
really you're it's one of those. It's like they said, this is supposed to be a throwback to Alfred Hitchcock. So it's Hitchcock. So this is
Oh,
your Psycho moment, where the night you see the knife, but you don't see anybody being stabbed like you did in the shower scene for Psycho.
shower
So,
scene. Right.
so you know, and so that was interesting. And the reason, let's see, they had Jamie Lee Curtis was their second choice to play Laurie Strode.
Oh, you know the first? 'Cause I'm curious if you know the first.
Oh God, I think I have it written down in my notes somewhere.
Okay.
I mean, I took notes for the, and I know that she had a role in Battlestar Galactica,
Oh, really?
and geez, I don't know why I don't have that. I know I had it written somewhere.
Okay. Okay. No
Can't
problem.
remember the name. But
Do you,
anyway, I know that well, the first person turned it down. So they got Jamie Lee Curtis once they found out that her parents were Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh.
okay.
So,
Okay.
so when Janet Leigh was the psycho woman in the shower, so when you have that pedigree, it's like bring her on. I mean, because before that, I think she had like just minor roles at the time.
Right.
So of
Yeah.
course, when you're just starting out and you're getting offered a lead role in a movie, no matter what the hell it is, you take it.
Exactly.
To pay
Yeah.
your. I mean, yeah, her name helped her, but still, you have to all the pressure's on you to make this movie. Then all the pressure's on you.
Right. Exactly.
And
Because on the credits they say introducing Jamie Lee Curtis, so it's like her first ever movie appearance.
yeah. And how many times do you see this? You watch a film that says introducing it and you never hear of them again, though.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is one of the few times where introducing actually meant well, she's going to be sticking around for a couple decades, so get used to it.
Exactly. That's true.
Because
It's very true.
you watch this stuff and uh, now you go and look for this damn thing, and it'll come to me later on.
Okay. Okay.
But
I know it will.
also who helped John Carpenter was Deborah Hill that help write the script and produce it, and she later became a producer at Paramount because everybody that worked on this film became successful because the thing was huge.
Hmm.
So, and so yeah, so it's I know we're all over the place doing this, but things just I guess that's Papa and I watched it and took a lot of notes. Everything's jumbling in my brain, and I'm just going all over the fucking place. So I'm trying to stay focused on this.
No take.
But
Just enjoy what we're doing. It's all good because I mean, there's a lot of different little snippets on this one of this movie. I mean, one
so
thing was interesting about that camera you were talking about. You notice where the camera was really high when he was in the mask, and then when you get to the part where the camera goes into the kid, it lowers down, so you can almost kind of tell that whoever was doing the walking was a full on adult compared to the kid. When you see
yeah,
that scene with the kid Mike with the little clown mask on him, and you see how the camera shrinks down. So it's like it was kind of interesting when I noticed that part with the start of
yeah.
this movie.
And just to let everyone know, the little boy did not have anything to do with that knife. That was Deborah Hill. She grabbed the knife out of the drawer, had the costume on, and was walking in front of the camera. So there was no little kid stabbing a sister or a naked woman anyway. So that was all. I mean, you should have known that to begin with, but just to make sure everyone's clear, there was just that was another adult that did that scene.
The scene.
Yeah, I mean, because even back then you could have gotten into a lot of trouble doing something like that. But and again, it comes down to how the child labor laws work in that industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they only can work so many hours a day, and it's all child actors. It's very difficult to work with them because of the scheduling and how many hours they can work a day, and got to take a time out to go to school and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And so it's very so that's why when you watch high school movies, all these kids are over 18 because they don't because they want to work in full days. They might be playing 16-year-olds that can be range anywhere from 18 to 22, 24, depending how young they look. But
Right.
that's why,
Exactly.
because they got to put in 12-hour days, and you can't do that with child actors.
No. No, you sure couldn't.
So that's why you see that a lot. But anyway, well, like you said, well, when you saw that stabbing scene, what did you think?
it was it was kind of where it was shocking to see. I was like, what the heck is going on? It's like why is this person going upstairs? And one thing I was kind of interesting too is that I didn't see like a door swing or anything or glass clashing or anything like that. So it made me wonder, is like, does this person know or how to get into this house? Because it looked like it was going to be a burglary. That's what when I was watching it. Um, when I was watching it, it's like it looked like it was going to be like a burglary where someone's coming in and steal stuff, and that was the plan. But continue watching it where the person was going up the stairs, and you could see the little uh, mass view from the opposite side going up the stairs, or before that going to the kitchen and getting the knife, and then going upstairs and just out the blue. And the kid, or not the kid, the girl said the name, saying Michael, and then all of a sudden, no words, no verbal or no nothing, no laughing or anything, just knife comes out and start stabbing at her, just stabbing, and then he walks out. And it's like, what the heck? that's what that's what got me kind of tripping out. It's like, what the, and the thing was is that I don't know who did this. And they never showed. They just showed this mask with the, like it was like we were looking at what he was seeing, but we didn't know. We never see his face until when they went outside. When he went outside, and then the police came, and then another guy came and pulled off his mask and found it was a kid, and found out it was a kid named Michael, which we knew because the girl said his name. But I
Right.
didn't know the kid. I didn't know. I mean, I thought it was kind of be an adult that went in and was gonna do some burglary and steal some stuff, and then that was it. And it was on Halloween, so um, when that happened, so that's kind of was a trippy.
Yeah, I mean, you don't expect a little kid. You expect, when she said Michael, maybe she was talking to an ex boyfriend because they know her boyfriend just left or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, exactly. Yep. Closed the
And
door and left.
so that's what makes the reveal at the end of these, I guess, the Coldplay for the movie,
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
because we get outside and we see the little boy and the parents come over, Michael, and then you cut to the boy, he has a knife in his hand, and you know and he's taken away. We find years later, he spent his whole life in an asylum,
Asylum.
a
Yep.
loony bin, a
Right.
crazy house. And
Yep. Yep.
you know it's so that was a big thing, because I mean, you don't, because I guess last thing you expect a little kid to pull that off.
Yeah, I did it. I did it. When I watched it, I didn't expect that because it was a first experience for me watching it, and I didn't know what to expect, but just to watch the movie and see what happens. And I didn't expect the kid at all. That did shock me the most.
Yeah,
It did. It really did.
it
And then,
was. Yeah, because when you're watching the movie for the first time, and then all of a sudden boobies become second, because you go, what the hell is going on with this movie? I mean,
yeah,
Jesus, we got this kid
exactly.
killing people. And so your thing is now you're getting engrossed into this. You're getting engrossed in the film now because you want to know what's going on. And then after that, of course, we go,
Like
what,
15 years later.
15 years later. And,
Yep.
Michael's what, 22 or something like that by this time. And, and then, so then, on a stormy night, Michael escapes. So,
Yeah, that was funny. I mean, that was not funny, but it was kind of weird where the nurse was there driving the car, and then this other guy, which I thought when I was watching him and talking, I thought he was a cop or something, or a detective or something like that.
yeah,
But then
yeah,
then he kept on driving and everything, and found out that he was a doctor that took care or watched over Michael while he was getting growing up, and he was kind of just trying to assist him on trying to um, I guess function, and I guess that's what they were there to kind of do. Or I'm not. I mean, I'm not sure if they were going to look like they were going to drug him again or something like that. That's why they were driving to the asylum in the rain, and they
Well,
were.
I think they were leaving the asylum and he escaped. I mean, they were leaving, and I because
Oh yeah, they were leaving. That's right, and they
the
saw.
last thing I think is that Dr. Loomis wants to take him anywhere. He doesn't want him out of that place. Yeah. And uh, so one of the things about that scene and Dr. Loomis or Donald Pleasance was this guy before they shot this scene. He drank a couple bottles of wine, and they were worried that he might not be able to make it out of his trailer or be coherent enough to say his lines.
Really?
Yeah, because they what I understood, he was pretty plastered before they shot this. And this plus this was a complicated scene. He's running around in the rain and he got the car
Yeah.
driving around and stuff like that. And so they were worried about that. I mean, but other than that, he was, as far as I know, everyone else says he was great on set.
Okay. Okay.
And they only had him for a week.
No way. Had him only
So
for a
they had
week.
to shoot all his scenes in a week.
In a week, all his scenes.
Yep.
Okay.
And he got, I understand, he got 20 grand for his role.
Wow. Wow.
So
that's why he was at Michael Myers' house so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was noticing that. It's like, why you just
he spent a week behind those bushes.
Right. Tell the kids, get away. Get away. This is not a good house. Get away.
Yeah. Get away. Yeah.
That was a trip.
So here's something now. So, okay, Dr. Loomis. Their first choice was Peter Cushing. And Peter Cushing just got done just came off of Star Wars, and he didn't want to have anything to do with this low budget movie. Their second choice was Christopher Lee.
Really? Okay.
And he turned it down. So then they remembered Donald Pleasance, and he said he would do it. Wow. So you try to watch that movie. So after I found out about Christopher Lee, I'm trying to watch this movie, and I'm trying to put Christopher Lee in Donald Pleasance's place. And you were talking about that Bush thing.
Yes.
And how he whispered.
Yes.
Well, Christopher Lee just walk out and say, boys, you give him that vampire stare, and they just run because Christopher Lee was,
he had that look.
He was scary in his own right,
Oh, okay.
He'd give Michael Myers a run for his money. You have Dracula going up against Michael Myers. And I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with Christopher Lee and Peter.
No, I'm not.
They did a lot of Hammer film horror stuff back in the 70s. And for Hammer, well, Christopher Lee played Dracula a lot for Hammer over in England. So, but they're well known. Peter Cushing he played Van Helsing in those vampire movies.
Oh, really?
So I always thought, well, what better way who else go chase after Michael Myers than Van Helsing?
That would have been interesting.
I'm just saying, if you Google those two actors and maybe find some clips, but they were legends in their own right. And like I said, Peter Cushing did have a role in Star Wars. So, but I mean, it's kind of, they are classic actors. I mean, they did stage and stuff over in England besides the horror film that they did on the cheap, because horror was another one of those cheap studios that did horror, but those are other cult classics in the horror genre, Hammer films. And Lee and Cushing did a lot of those movies together, and they were good friends until, to the very end. So, but wow. Yeah, I mean, so you're not knowing who Christopher Lee is, and you might know who he is once you see him, but he played Dracula and he had those eyes, and it's like, he just stand there and scare the shit out of the kids because, he's a tall, imposing figure. So anyway, so those were the first two choices that they wanted before they got Donald Pleasance. And that would have changed the character quite a bit.
I bet.
With those two one of those two in the role.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's not that Donald Pleasance did a bad job, but you once you find out the other actors, then you always try to put those in the same situation.
exactly.
Whereas Pleasance is kind of a short, stocky guy, and then you have Christopher Lee, I think, is about 6 foot, or
Oh
6 over,
God.
running around chasing after Michael Myers.
Yeah, yeah. They could have
But
maybe done a little bit more stuff with them.
but I'm just saying, remember those names, and if you get a chance, Google them. You might be able to find some of the movies on somewhere, but you know, or some stuff on YouTube. But those are names you should know in your horror library, somewhere to
Okay.
put in the back of your brain, to have in your mind. Um, but so that's the thing about Dr. Loomis was that at first I thought it was Christopher Lee, and then I watched the specials on the DVD, and they said, well,
Yeah.
no, the first person was Peter Cushing, so that added another name to it. So you have two probably A-listers over in England that were their choices, and then but Donald wasn't like a Donald Pleasance was a,
That,
a,
yeah, he was
a
he
bad
was
actor. I'm just
yeah,
saying that he did, he did a good job once he understood his role. I mean, you got to understand you're an experienced actor and you're coming on a set with a bunch of young kids. I mean, remember these kids are these people are like in their early 20s. I mean, they're just out of school, college or whatever you want to call it, and
right.
so
But they were playing like high school kids.
yeah. And all the actors are young too. I mean, this is before Christopher Lee, Curtis Lee, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Emily Curtis. Yeah, it's a lot of C's in there.
It's before she was even known. So I mean, she was still a young, and I guess she was a team player. She helped move stuff around and was pretty friendly on the set. So I mean,
Mhm.
she had a good reputation on the set. So,
Which is good.
but she had her two girlfriends, Annie and Linda, right?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep.
and and they were your typical horny teenagers.
Yes, they were. Yep. While I was watching that scene and everything of them planning their night and everything on Halloween and what they're gonna do, and Jamie Lee Curtis' character doing a babysitting type of role, and while that's happening, they're gonna get busy and all this. So it
Yeah,
was
get
interesting.
busy.
Yeah, they were gonna get busy.
They wanted to get busy.
Yes, they were.
And of course, even if you reverse those roles, you'd have two guys planning their things. They would all, and the two boys would also talk about the kid that wasn't getting any or didn't ask anybody out. So I mean, you could I mean, the dialogue might be different, but it still be the same thing, But
Yeah.
still, that Deborah Hill was responsible for the female dialogue. So
Oh,
John
really?
Carpenter didn't. Well, she wrote the first draft, and then I think John Carpenter added all the mythology to the Michael Myers character.
Okay. Okay.
He had like a lot some stuff to it too. But
Right.
so yeah, and some people complained about that, but like you said, I mean, it's teenagers. That's what they were doing. I mean, they weren't. That's
Yep.
what teenagers did in when you were in, well, even before high school, but when you had high school and had that kind of freedom, that's what you're planning is well, I'm going to get busy with my boyfriend, especially, so
And a lot of smoking.
yeah, that was, that was funny watching them share that cigarette. It was like, oh yeah, cause back then, I guess you get busted by your parent. You're smoking, so,
Right. Right.
but yeah, in that car scene. And
Yeah.
I caught this was that when on the radio was playing "Don't Fear the Reaper" by Blue Oyster Cult.
No, I didn't know. You got me on that one. I didn't catch that at all.
Yeah, so I've seen it a few times, but then I'm listening to it. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Oh yeah, it sounds familiar. And you're like, oh okay. And then you see it in the credits where they got all the where they got permission to use all this stuff,
Uh,
but
oh,
still
okay.
that makes sense. Don't fear the Reaper. I mean, it wasn't, it was like a little it wasn't a very long clip of it, but if you recognize the tune and the words, but that was interesting that they were doing that while they were smoking the cigarette and driving down the road there in the station wagon,
Yeah.
and her giving Lori a hard time about not going out and trying to get her a date and all this stuff, but
Yeah.
typical
Typical
stuff for
teenager.
teenage girls,
Yep.
and so and plus that was all the movies. Well, even today, people talking about getting busy. I mean, I don't know what they keep talking about this for. I mean, even in today's movies, girls and boys are still talking about getting busy,
Hmm.
right? I mean, if
That's
you watch
right.
a teeny bop, they're all
Like,
no matter what
get going.
generation, no matter what generation you are, you want to get busy,
That's it. That's it.
especially when you're a teenager. You're really amped up to get busy.
Yep. So darn true. So darn true. And
Well,
one thing was,
back then they would have called it get down. They want to
there
get
you go.
down.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
want to
During
get
those
down.
times.
Yeah, they were the boys wanted to get down with their foxy mamas.
Yeah. There you
So,
go. There you go.
but no, yeah, because that night, Jamie Lee Curtis or Lori was going to babysit, and so was the other girl, Linda. Right? She was going to babysit. She was babysitting too, and then the other girl was Annie,
Yep. Those
and
three.
so
They had a plan. They had a plan for Halloween.
yeah, they did. Even though they were going to be babysitting, they were all planning on getting, getting busy. And
Yeah. Yeah. And they were across a street from each other, so it was so convenient that they can look and check on each other because the house was across the street. So that made it a little
yeah, how
easier.
convenient is that? They're babysitting in houses that are across the street from each other.
Say again.
I said, how convenient is that? Is that the houses that they're babysitting in are right across the street from each other?
No. How convenient. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. What a coincidence.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to
Normally
begin,
that doesn't happen.
well, too bad the parents didn't know that because they could have shared a babysitter and have them watch both kids at the same time anyway, instead of hiring two separate babysitters.
100%. Exactly. Yeah.
But so Annie was played by Nancy Kyes, and PJ Souls played Linda Vanderclock. Okay. Oh, and this is talking about a cast member that PJ Souls at the time was married to Dennis Quaid,
Huh.
and they were trying to get him
To play and be in this movie?
be in the movie, but he was doing a movie of the week,
Oh,
probably
okay.
for a network. So and I'm kind of iffy on Dennis Quaid. Some stuff I like him in, some stuff I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of better than he's not as goofy as Randy Quaid, but
Yeah.
but Dennis Quaid can give you those eyes too if he wants to.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know what part he would have played. I don't think I don't know if he would have been up for Dr. Loomis or not. They didn't say what part. They just want to know he'd be part of the movie. So,
Oh,
but I don't. But he probably might have been that Dr. Loomis because he thought at that time he was still an A-lister or a high B-lister. He wouldn't come cheap
no.
unless he did it as a favor for his wife at the time, just to have fun, But when you're
Cool.
young and starting out, and you have too many veterans that might be intimidating. They were already intimidated by Donald Pleasance because he's a big veteran. And like, oh my gosh. I mean, John Carpenter was scared shitless of this guy at first because he didn't know how he was going to act, trying to direct. I mean, yeah, you're trying to direct a seasoned actor, It's like, what the hell can I tell? What am I doing? What can I tell this guy?
Right. Yeah.
Pleasance would ask questions like, well, what's my motivation? What am I doing? Because he read the script and was trying to figure out what his role was. I mean, and he kind of tested John Carpenter too to see what, to test his mettle a little bit, trying to figure out, look, why am I here? What am I doing? Do you know what this character is all about? Because, you should know because you're the director. But some directors just give their actors leeway. They say, well, you're the actor. You decide.
Little direction. No direct. Some direction, a little direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I said. Some actors say, "Well, you're the actor; you figure it out."
Yeah.
That's your job. My job, I write something down, and you figure the damn thing out. But every
Yeah.
every director is different. But anyway, it was interesting on some of the people they coulda, shoulda, woulda had, but too many would have spoiled everything. It would have lost that independent feel if you have too many big names in it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I know that.
They had a good amount of people through the whole
And
whole movie.
probably
It was
Dennis
good.
Quaid was starting out at the time back then too, but still, still he was probably known if he's doing it. I don't know, but anyway, it's interesting about things that could have happened that probably for the best did not happen in some.
Yeah,
I still would have liked to have seen either Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee. I thought that would have been neat,
to see
but
them in.
it doesn't matter. It was still an excellent movie. Um, and so where were we? We were after the boy killed, and then what was the next? They were on the escape scene with Michael Myers breaking the window and getting in, and they couldn't really break it at first, so they put
Yeah,
this wrench on the guy's hand, and
yeah,
it goes so fast you can't see it, but if you can
yeah. I
pause the
could see
time, I
it.
guess you could see the wrench, but to me, it's like you have to pause it just right to see it. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's really a non-factor. It's not like it stuck out.
right. Exactly.
Remember? Okay, remember the scene when Michael jumped from the ground onto the car,
Uh huh.
and they had that sound effect.
Yes, that really eerie note.
Well, I thought that was the most hokey thing. I thought, what was that all about? I mean, it sounded like it was like one of those sound effects you hear from the Bionic Man.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
but I didn't know where that thing. I don't know. It just seemed out of place in this movie. It seemed like it was one of those special effects they found in a B movie library. I guess maybe back then maybe it worked, but still see watching it again. It's like, well, I don't know if it worked. I mean, I guess I can see it, but it's like that's the only sound effect you have of him moving anywhere is when he jumped up on that car,
Right, right.
and then of course, he steals the car and. But
Takes
I'm
the
just
girl
saying that
out.
was the weirdest sound effect I heard in the
It
movie.
was.
But because I just know where it came from. I don't know who decided to put that in. It's like he was. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember. I mean, I remember the sound effect, but I just don't know if it. To me, I watched it and it's like, I guess watching it, I was like, oh, how 70s. It's like one of those things like, oh yeah, okay. But maybe back then it made kind of sense. But to me, it's like, oh my gosh, it sounded like they were like one of those Bionic Man sound effects. He's like, oh God, come on. But
Yeah, they
anyway,
did have some weird ones on there.
Michaels does steal that car.
Yeah, it takes it away. And yeah,
So
John Carpenter was the one that did the music on this
yeah,
movie too.
he wrote that in 3 days. Oh, he did all that stuff in 3 days.
3 days.
He had
Wow.
3 days to get that music done. Oh, that was okay. When he talked to the producer that wanted to do this movie, he said he would do it for $10,000. He wanted complete control. He wanted to do the music, and then he wanted to have his name on top of the title, which is pretty ballsy for some new guy. Like,
Yeah.
because who's going to who John Carpenter is? John Carpenter is this. Like, who the fuck's John Carpenter?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I've never seen that a lot on movies. That's true. Where the
you know,
intro comes up with a person's name and then the title of the movie.
yeah. But
That is true. It's like, who is this John Carpenter guy?
we know who he is now. After
Oh
that
yeah.
movie, we knew who he
Oh
was.
yeah.
And then I guess the guy asked him, well, how much could you do it for? And he said 300,000. He says, well, if you can make this movie for that much money, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Because I mean, it's a low budget.
No budget. Yeah.
At that time, I mean,
Yeah.
and I guess that guy wasn't too worried about it. I mean, because what kind of film are you going to get for $300,000? But I guess if you're making a cheap horror film, it's really weird.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I really can't confirm nor get or have anyone deny it, but the original title was The Babysitter Murders.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. But one of the producers is saying that's not true. But you never know. I mean, it could have been that instead of called Halloween. But
I'm just saying, would that, would that draw the attention like Halloween would?
no,
And if it
no,
was called Babysitter Murders, would you want your name on top of it?
no. It did. It didn't fit the script. It really
No.
did. I would if you would show me that and tell me I want to go see something on a Friday night with your girlfriend and go in and check it out, and you see that title, you're gonna flip over to the next newspaper sheet to see what other movie I can see on that Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah.
That's not appealing. It's not appealing.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's probably one of those movies that you probably wait for it to get on TV or something. But
Exactly. Where they edit it so much where it destroys the movie. I've seen
yeah,
that so many times. So many
but
times in horror movies that they edit it for TV and it just makes the movie worse.
yeah. So since this was being filmed in the spring in Southern California, they couldn't find pumpkins. They only had 3 pumpkins for this movie.
3 pumpkins only.
But
Wow.
they were able to find the South American green gourd, which they painted orange.
No kidding.
Yep.
That's something that I didn't know. They painted it orange, really.
Yep. Well, of course, the one real pumpkin is the one that got smashed when the little boy fell on it.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you that right
So
now.
that's one real pumpkin.
That was a real
I
pumpkin.
guess the other one would have been the one that Jamie Lee Curtis was carrying out
With the kids?
with the kids or whatever
Yeah.
when she was heading out of the house. Or that could
Yeah.
have been the same pumpkin for all we know. We don't know how many times they used them, but there were only 3 real pumpkins because
That's
it's
true.
springtime. But they made do with what they had. So you can
Yeah,
paint something
exactly.
orange and make it look like a pumpkin from afar. That's all you need to do.
Yep, keep it going, keep it rolling.
Yep.
Yeah, because the kid wanted to do so much things on Halloween. So can we get candy? Can we carve? And Jamie Lee Curtis was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. The kid wanted everything. Can we do this? Can we do that? Can we make popcorn?
Yep. So do you remember that little boy's costume? Tommy's costume?
No. I'm trying to think. On Halloween Day, I'm trying to think. No, I don't remember. I can't remember what he had on when he was supposed to be trick or treating on Halloween. That's so interesting. I'm trying to think, and I mean, I was just thinking of it as a kid, but I didn't realize he did maybe have a outfit on for
Let's
Halloween.
see.
I know Michael Myers as a kid, he had the clown thing.
Yeah. Oh. I can't go without you. Anyway,
Yeah,
you got a costume on. Now, here's something. So anyway, so he's escaped and now he's in town and he's showing up here and there.
Yeah, with the music in the background.
With the music.
Every time you hear that music, you know it's him coming.
Yeah.
That's what I got from the movie a lot. It's like every time you knew he was coming or sneaking around or something like that, the music would play. And one of those scenes which was so silly, or not silly, but it was so odd, is when Jamie Lee was walking to school with her book and everything, and then you see the Michael Myers in the background, and he was just standing there for almost 2 seconds. And they didn't even, I mean, the camera didn't even move. It just stood there. I'm like, what's he doing? He just staring at her walking away. It's like, okay, let's continue the movie. just standing there like a statue. It was so funny when I was watching it.
Yeah, well, that was his direction.
That was his direction, huh? From John Carpenter, or was it with the producers or the writer?
Well, the guy that played it, Nick Castle, he actually didn't live far, and he was also wanted to be a director, or trying to get a movie going. He wanted to hang around.
Oh, really?
So John said, "Well, you can hang around, but you can do stuff too while you're here." And then eventually, they just handed him the mask because I guess he was tall enough or whatever.
Yeah,
And
he
they
was
just
tall.
said, all he said was, "Your job is just to walk from point A to point B. No acting. You just walk. We don't, that's your job. Your job is to walk. That's all you're doing." And the guy asked, "How much do I get paid?" And John goes,
Right,
"Yeah." John goes,
right.
"Yeah, $25 a day." So even 1978, that's not a lot of money, but
Not a lot of
if
money.
they're starting out, and plus all, like I said, the guy was probably there just for the experience anyway. He wanted to watch what was going on, so that's one of those things where it's a trade off. If if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. I thought I see. So I'm trying to figure out. I don't know why I can't. Anyway, uh, yeah, that was that. But so that's how they got the actor for Michael Myers is just like some guy that basically walked off the street and said, "Hey, can I hang out for a little bit?" So it's one of
Yeah,
those lucky things, If he would have stayed in his house, he would not have probably gotten the same breaks that he had, you know, later on. So it's one of those things. And so anyway, um,
but I mean, it was a driving part too. Did it? I mean, his instruction was to drive side to side too, because that's what
I don't know
that's what
about
he did
any of
too.
that direction, but and plus you've got to realize maybe he wasn't driving sometimes, because sometimes
Oh,
if they
maybe.
do if it's far enough away, they might have a stunt driver.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't see in the window. They really didn't show it. It was
I
kind
mean,
of
I
like
can't. I mean, I don't know for certain. I can't.
right.
But I would imagine when they were doing that speed, when the girl yelled at him, "Speed kills." I imagine that was probably just a stunt person or another person driving the car, because the car thing would have been separate from her yelling anyway. That would have been something that was shot somewhere else. I mean, they would have shot
Right.
it. That probably wasn't shot at the same time.
Right.
You can see how it
And,
was cut together.
right. And
They probably,
the braking too. When they brake really hard, there could have been a stunt guy that braked really hard
yeah, there's
because
probably a
right after you
walkie-talkie.
said it,
There's probably a walkie-talkie and stuff. Now hit your brakes and slam on it, and then they do that, and then you know,
just stay there for a second
and then
and then
stay
drive
there.
away.
But you never, because you really don't, because usually when you can't really see in those windows when they're driving around, because they're going by so fast anyway. So it could have been anybody sitting in there wearing a mask just to make it look good. Because I mean
Right.
because I don't know. I can't say for certain they didn't address it, but sometimes that's how it works. If there's like a shot where you really don't need to see the people in the car, you could just, that way it saves time to have somebody else do it while they're shooting. I don't know how many. I don't know if they had a second team. I mean, this is probably just one team to shoot everything. I don't know if they had
Yeah, for the whole movie. Yeah.
a second unit, but I don't know. That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
But usually, I mean, he could have been driving the car just to make it look. I mean, why not? I mean, he's there,
Yeah, yeah.
and everybody had multiple jobs, so maybe he did. But that's a good question. I'll have to ask him next time I see him.
Okay.
Did you drive the car?
He's still around too. I mean, you
Yeah,
never know about this
maybe
guy.
I'll send him a message through Facebook or something saying,
Right.
"Hey, did you drive that car? We want to know. It's killing us."
Yes. Exactly.
But that it was a very interesting movie, though. I mean, yeah, and he kept showing. See, that's it. As this movie goes on, the thing is, Michael Myers seems like he's not just human. He's got some supernatural stuff going on too. It seems like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Besides being unkillable, it seems like he has a good way of disappearing. He has
yeah.
This inept is. Oh, wait a minute. I can sense they're gonna. It's like he had a kind of spidey sense. He knew when someone was gonna turn around, he'd disappear.
Exactly. That time when he was picking out from the bushes and then he disappeared and then the lady went over to it and he was gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. He did have some superhero strength.
Now she's one of those, if she didn't back down. She seemed like she's one of those chicks where, she's not going to take any shit. I
Yeah,
come back here. Where as Laurie Strode was kind of more repressed and kind of more nervous, she was like, I'm going to go over here and see what this fucker wants, because
exactly.
there's some creepy guy following my friend or following us. And by the time, and then she says, hey, he wants to talk to you. He wants to ask you out. And he's not even, and no one's there. That was funny too.
Yeah, exactly.
It had its comedy moments. I mean, that's for sure.
It
And
did. It did. It had its suspense, but it had a little comedy, a little laughter.
they knew how to, for being fresh, they knew how to make that work, not be over the top with either one of them. How to have those have the light moments too, leading up to the, to build up the suspense again.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because then you have Michael Myers, doing the sheets. I don't know what that was.
That part was so confusing to me because I thought when I was watching, I'll tell you this, Richard, when I saw that part, I thought it was actually the guy that he killed in the kitchen. And I thought I guess maybe held him up and had the, like you said, had the sheet over him, and with the glasses, I thought that was the guy that was in the kitchen. And she was asking him questions. Are you going to say anything? Are you going to talk? And then all of a sudden, after she said, "I'll forget it," then he started moving up.
Yeah.
I thought it would be like maybe Michael Myers was behind and pushed the guy in front of her and scared her. But they realized that it was actually Michael Myers all along.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the part when he was standing in the sheets when Laurie Strode looked out the window.
Oh, that part. Okay. I'm okay. I got you.
But now you brought that up. Maybe that's where he got the sheet to wear, or gave him the idea later on to be a ghost sheet.
Maybe, but you're right.
And from what I understand in the script, he didn't have a name at the time. They called him the Shape.
The Shape, really?
Yeah, that they called him in the script. He didn't have a name. He didn't have the Michael Myers name yet. They just called him the Shape.
Right.
So
interesting.
Then later on, I guess they decided to give him the name somewhere. But sometimes when you first write a script, you just put placeholder crap in it so you can keep moving on.
Yeah, and then they'll just think about it later on. That say,
yeah, you think about it later on because you don't want to get stuck on something and stop the process. You just, okay, we'll just do this and we'll come back to it later. And if we think of something else, that's fine. And if not, so be it. But yeah.
Right.
But when you're first, plugging away at something, you just put shit in there and worry about it later when you're done. And then you go back and rewrite and make all your edits and all that kind of good stuff.
Right.
But for the most part, we had horny teenagers being chased by a guy in a mask. So,
yeah, and like you said, the peekaboo moments, like you were talking about the sheet, which is right. I forgot about that scene where Jamie Lee Curtis was looking through the mirror and then saw this object with the sheets, and then she turns her head for 1 second and he's gone.
Yeah, so this dude was awful fast.
He was fast.
Someone that lumbered around the neighborhood, and he had to. He could book. I don't know.
He did.
I don't know. This guy could actually. It's like really weird. It's like
it was superhuman strength.
Did he teleport? You have no clue how this guy he'd lumber around and then he'd disappear within a fraction of a second. And I guess that was part of the mystique or the mystery of the guy. You didn't know. Okay, how is he doing this? And
right.
How is he moving around like he does? But that's all part of the fun. And Loomis says he was pure evil and he was dark. And so I guess, and plus you got to remember this, something happened to him for some reason, when he was a little boy, he went all murderous. So what was happening then?
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of questions when I was watching this, because that's a big gap between 15 years and when he was a little kid. It's like, what type of mental issues did he really have, and why did he do that? That's the thing too. Is like when I was watching it, it's like, why? What was your? I mean, maybe you were assisting like your sister. Sometimes there are people out there in the world that doesn't like their sister, but you don't go and get a knife and kill them. Come on.
Well,
So it's like,
this kid did. I don't know what the argument was about, but it sure pissed him
yeah,
off.
exactly. It's like, what the heck? Like, why are you doing? Why you get so mad that you had to go get a knife and say, do that? And didn't say anything. The girl says, oh, the girl says something. The girl said, Michael. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, he gets a knife and starts stabbing. I'm like, what the heck? What are you doing? She falls to the ground, and then he walks away. And then it's like, come on. So I wish,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing about this movie, too. Is like there's a lot of questions that I guess can lead into the next one, I guess, that they
Yeah.
had. I guess I'm looking forward to watching 2 now. I haven't watched 2, so I don't know if it leads into more answers than I didn't have in the first one. So I'm
Two's
I'm
not
looking forward
bad.
to
Two's pretty good. 3 has nothing to do with the Halloween series,
no kidding.
so
Okay.
people usually skip that. I mean, it was supposed to be a film in its own right, even though it had the Halloween title, but it was like
Oh,
something like a different type of story.
really?
It's like all of a sudden
Off
they
the
want to start
chart.
this. It's like all of a sudden they want to start this anthology. It's like, but everybody wanted to see Michael Myers, so it bombed. And no, maybe it was called something else, a different title.
Oh,
It would have done, would have been so bad. But when you put that name on it, you're expecting
yeah.
to see Michael Myers walking around, disappeared, and stabbing people. So that's what you're. But
Yeah, that's what you're looking forward to. Yeah.
so the little boy Tommy had this costume, and he had this little black belt around it, and he had like these patches on it, and an American flag, like a spaceman's costume.
Okay.
But if you look at it just right, it looks like it was supposed to be a Jedi costume
Oh.
because the black belt came around and it came out like it was like a Jedi costume that it probably would have been more like a Luke Skywalker costume.
Okay. Okay.
And people have talked about that before, saying, was it supposed to be that? And didn't they get the permission, or they were afraid of the copyright infringement, so they put those other, because it's called a spaceman costume. But if you ever
Spaceman.
watch it again, and you notice what he's wearing, you see the belt, there's like a little thing. It's not a lightsaber, but it does stick out of the side here like it could be something like that. So maybe they were going to go for something like that, but then they thought, well, we might get in too much trouble if we go too far with this thing.
Uh-huh.
But I heard it once. I don't know if I read it somewhere, but it was not anything that my current stuff that I saw. But I heard that once, that they thought it was supposed to be a Jedi costume. They called it a spaceman costume to make sure they wouldn't get in trouble with George Lucas.
Ah, smart.
But if you see it from the back, you will go, oh yeah, because you'll be confused first, because you'll see that little Jedi belt, and you'll see how the shirt flanks out like a Jedi costume.
Right.
So, but I couldn't find a proper picture of it. But if you ever see that picture again, or you remember it later on, and thinking, oh yeah, it does look like a jet. From the back, it does look like that. But anyway, that was. So I don't know if that was just a rumor or if that was. But anyway, that's one of the. Anyway, it's a rumor then, because we don't know for sure. But it was never addressed anywhere in any of the specials I watched. So I don't know if that was a thing or not. And you got to be careful with copyright stuff, and you don't want to.
Oh yeah, during those years, yeah.
They couldn't get permission from George Lucas, and they didn't want to, or even take a chance of getting in trouble with George Lucas. And
right after the movie is over.
After the movie, it's like, well, we'll just make it a spaceman costume and kind of make it look like maybe almost kind of, but we'll put these NASA and put the space stuff on it and make it look like it's a spaceman costume. But so it was, that was the thing about his costume. And so they do call this the father of the slasher films, which is interesting. It says he choked 2 people and stabbed one.
One. Right, exactly.
I'm not sure how that farmer dude died. You know, the guy in the truck. You know, where when Pleasance made that phone call and he walked down and he saw that truck in the cornfield, and then you see that dead body.
Yeah.
But you don't know how he died because, as far as you know, at that time he didn't have a knife with him.
Right, he just was himself. Yeah.
So I don't know. But as far as confirmed slasher, he just used that knife on Paul.
Yeah. Two people actually, because he did with the sister.
Oh yeah, okay. I guess I'm thinking of the adult Michael Myers. But yeah, right. You're right. The young Michael Myers, I guess so. Two slashers and 2 chokes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess 3 chokes if you count the dog.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
That was
I didn't see it. I mean, it was so dark.
What did you think about seeing that dog? I mean, being killed.
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, bummer. But it was kind of expected when I was kind of hearing or watching the movie and I was hearing the dog barking in the background. It's like I was thinking to myself, okay, that dog is going to be gone. I mean, it's going to happen.
Well, I felt that you expected it, but you didn't expect to see him hold the dog up. You know, right. You're gone.
Right, exactly.
And just so everybody knows, a fake dog got killed. There was a real dog, but then there was the fake dog that got choked. So people calm down.
It's like, calm down. It's okay. The dog is safe.
And the thing is that Linda was so disturbed, was so mad about this dog barking and stuff. Because I guess for me, it wasn't her dog, but to me, when you hear a dog or if it was your pet yelping, you'd go out and check on it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
You know, then you would have been killed anyway because, oh, Michael, you have that dog. Well, see you. You're dead now. Put my dog down, Michael. What the hell are you doing?
Right.
But she was indifferent. Oh, the dog, she just thought the dog was out there getting laid too. So it was. But usually when you hear your dog yelp, or a pet, whatever you have, sound in distress, you go out and check on it. But I don't think she was a dog person and didn't have a pet. So she probably didn't know. And she was so bothered, being babysitted and trying to figure out how she's going to get laid babysitting Lindsay and all that stuff. So
exactly.
I don't know what was on her mind. He just seemed so indifferent to the dog. She was wound up in her own little world, like a teenager. She was life wrapped up,
Yep.
And she got butter all over her clothes and had to go change that and get stuck in the window. That was some kind. I mean, that was.
I know.
That is really, thinking about how that was set up, where you would have your laundry room that far out of the house to go do your laundry all the time. I mean, I guess it's. Well, I mean, it's California, so I guess it doesn't. But if you're out in the Midwest and you don't want to be walking out there in the middle of the snow with your laundry,
right? And I guess that was the premise because it was supposed to be not defined in California; it's supposed to be defined in the East Coast. So I guess you can kind of think of it.
That's what I'm saying. In the Midwest, why wouldn't want something out like that where in the middle of the winter, you're walking through snow or ice or whatever. You'd want your laundry room in your house where everything's in one convenient space. Or maybe that wasn't even a laundry room. Maybe they were just using the building for something. I don't know. But it's really weird. She went out there. Then she was running around and, there was that teaser moment when she was undressing and you see her back and you're wondering, is she going to turn around? She gonna turn around?
Right.
Huh? Oh, come on. She put the shoe on. It's just like, come on.
Yeah, if it's like Mike Myers was getting a little bit excited was just staring there.
Oh, he gonna turn around? Oh.
Yeah. He was like, okay.
All right, whatever.
Yeah, he was bummed out a little bit.
That's probably done on purpose too, tease the audience a little bit.
Yeah. He was doing his deep breathing.
Yeah. What you think? Which, if you think about it, that if it wasn't, you keep thinking. If you think about it too, it makes him kind of pervy, heavy breathing, watching a naked woman through a window.
Right. He kind of had that perv type of vibe a little bit sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just stood there like.
I don't think he cared about that. He just wanted to kill people. I mean.
Yeah. He didn't know.
he saw a lot of peeping Tom action, which is pretty creepy in itself, you know.
Right.
But he was stalking people, and
Right. And
you
kind
know,
of curious is like, why did he go for? I mean, why was he so interested in Jamie Lee Curtis and everything? It's like, what was the point? It's like that's what was getting me a little bit when he was older. It's like, why was? I mean, I know he wanted to go back to his home, but what made him want to? I mean, I guess like you said, he just wanted to kill people, and I guess that's what the doctor was telling people. It's like, just everyone better
well,
watch out. He's gonna
the
kill
only
people.
thing I can figure out is that when he was driving around, they caught his attention. They were young girls, and they were out, and they caught his attention because you're right. I mean, Laurie Strode had nothing to do with his family,
No, not at all.
and Laurie Strode was probably a little baby when he was doing his first kill
Right? Yeah. No.
because of 78, so she might have been like a little baby. So I'm just thinking, I mean, you're not supposed to read too much into this movie anyway.
I know.
I mean,
That's the
because I
thing.
did that too. I started watching it again. You're thinking, because if you think about it, you're thinking, okay, wait, whoa, hold on, wait, but because most of the movie's supposed to be theater of the mind, where you're supposed to fill in the blanks with your imagination. You're not supposed.
Right.
That's why they didn't show a lot of blood. They wanted you to, he's stabbing the sister, and yeah, you see her laying on the ground with the blood, but you don't see blood spattering everywhere.
Right.
Like you in some of
Yeah.
those
You
other
didn't want
movies
to
where
see
they
that.
had that
Yeah.
fake blood that looked like shit back in the 70s, just squirting everywhere, so.
Right.
And so I'm just figuring, like, when he was driving around, he saw him, and maybe I'm still trying to figure out how he's driving down the road, how he heard that girl yell at him. I can't, it's like speed kills. Like,
Yeah,
if you're driving with that
said it
loud engine,
loud.
and
I
how do you
mean,
know? And she didn't yell really loud either. And he's just
no, she did.
But maybe
Yeah,
that's
that was
part of
fun.
his supernatural thing. He has super hearing.
It could be.
It
could be. You're right.
I don't know. It's because it wasn't like she yelled really, really loud, and
No,
by the time
no,
she said it, he was speeding down the road. And back
yep.
then, those engines they weren't quiet like they are today, where they sneak up on you. This is boom, 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 So
right.
Station wagon too, so the sexy car. But but like I said, you're not supposed to think about it too much, and you're just supposed to sit there and be scared and be thrilled about it. So I mean, watching it the first time through and not planning on doing a review, you're sitting there as a young kid, plus you're only 14, you're just watching an R-rated movie, go, yeah, stabbing, they're cussing, and or it's a nip slip. Okay, that's cool. So but you're still enthralled about being in an R-rated movie,
right?
When you're that young, because you're really. I mean, I had like a person of age take me. It wasn't like I snuck in, but still, there you are. So,
but they had a little makeout scene a little bit too when the guy was on top and everything. It was like, okay, they tried a little bit of it. I mean, a little, but not too much.
What was that again, Jay?
I was just saying they showed a little bit of like making action in the movie, a little bit, almost at the end of it, when they were up in the bed, and then they had the cigarettes and everything, and then she said, "Go get down and get a beer." So prior to that, they showed a little bit of action, not a lot, but they did a little bit.
It was not as bad as movies to come.
True. I mean, that's one thing about, great us talking about this and doing a rewatch on this is that we can kind of talk about something like this compared to what's out there now. And it's just night and day.
I mean, even afterwards, like Friday the 13th had that big nude scene in it where, did you see some nipple? Yeah, but it wasn't like a big, like when she was in the bed, you just saw, it was like real quick, and I saw half a nip, and it was like a nip slip, and it was gone. I mean, it wasn't like she pulled it down and like, hey, show it like big, like a big exploitation film where they spend 5 hours looking at her boobs. Look at this, but
right.
And if you had, plus when she was getting choked, it wasn't like, you saw flashes, but nothing that stayed there for very a real. I mean, yeah, the R-rated movie for the violence and maybe that, but
Yeah,
at
that's
that time, some of that might have one of those scenes. If you had only one, that might have slipped back then, might have went for PG, but that's why they went to a PG-13 afterwards because they were letting more of that stuff slip into PG
yeah,
movies. But
true, true.
anyway, I'm just saying it wasn't like, and that was about it though. It wasn't like there was a lot of that. I mean, even though it was about horny teenagers, there wasn't like a lot of sex scenes you see later on
No,
as
no.
these slick in other slasher movies, which they did just to make sure people went to see it.
Right, exactly. Yep, you're right. That is so true.
Because if you'd go see
Different.
Friday the 13th, or the camp counselors are banging all over the place in the in the cabins, and then they get stabbed after they're done. At least at least Freddy was considerate. Well, when they're done, come on, get done so I can stab you. So
Right,
yeah. But
exactly.
and the other ones that would follow would just be mostly a bunch of girls running around naked with a killer somewhere. But
Yep.
other than that, I mean, they everything was kept to a minimum. The blood, and because just like I said, they're going for that Alfred Hitchcock vibe where you just it's all in your mind.
Yeah,
You didn't need to see the actual
yeah,
stabbing because like in Friday the 13th, you say, well, I guess it wasn't Jason in the first one, but still his mother,
yeah.
stabbing
Mother
people
was
through the
involved.
bed and everything else. Even they actually, and this one, Halloween, stayed, and that's what was so different about it. They went back, they kind of went old school and made it new school
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because everything else before. I mean, I guess in a way, could you?
Mhm.
It might be a stretch, but I mean, maybe you call this horror film the Star Wars of its day.
That's a that's a good scenario, and I'm curious if anyone else that's going to watch this later feel the same way. But that's a good
I mean,
point, and
I'm just
I
saying that
agree.
that's supposed to be the father of the slasher film,
Slasher movie,
whereas Star Wars is the father of the modern science fiction age with the
right,
with all the special effects and all the robotics and
right.
since this is given so much credit, maybe putting it in that same realm because you had Star Wars come out, which changed the science fiction genre
It did,
once,
it
the
did,
paradigm on that. Then you had Halloween come out, and then a slew of horror films came out. So
it
after
did,
these two films came out, you had all the science fiction come out and
and the
more
horror.
horror come out and plus, as far as I can, Halloween may Star Wars and Halloween may have revitalized the movie industry, at least people going to the theater, because when I was watching, they're saying the movie people going to the movies is dying. They don't go see movies anymore.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, that
So
was
then after that, these people started going to the movie. I mean, I know people did go see movies, of course, but it seemed like the no one wanted to make movies because it seemed like they weren't making a lot of money anymore. That's what I understood.
yeah.
Something like now where I don't know how many people actually go to movies anymore since the pandemic's over. I don't know. I haven't been to a theater since, so I don't know if they're how full they are. Or all I know is they
It's
go
different.
to the
It is different. I
in the
mean,
theater for a couple of weeks and then they go to streaming and DVD right
streaming,
away now. So,
right? Yeah.
well, you go to the theater a lot. Do you see a
Yep.
lot of people in there? I mean, what are the differences that you notice when you go to a movie house?
In the movie house, since after the pandemic, I've been to a variety of movies at different times and everything, and like seeing from Saw 10 and other movies. It's it's not as much many people like back in the day when I was going to a Marvel movie and it's all the whole row of people in the row watching a movie. It was not that. I think the only one since after the pandemic that was like that was the Guardian. For me personally, was the Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3. That's when it was a lot of people because it was a Marvel movie. But
And it was a good
after
movie
that,
too.
haha,
And I saw it. I think I saw it on TV streaming, but And I watched it. Oh, that's not a bad. It was pretty good. I mean, for a
It was.
third movie to keep its power. But like you said, well, anyway, go. I mean, so you're
Yeah.
saying that some movies can still draw people in, but mostly you're not seeing the big crowds that you used to.
Yeah. It was some movies. I mean, it's like maybe average about 15 or 20 people in a theater when I'm seeing it in a theater. It's like, wow, it's not like it
Well,
used to be.
is
It's
this on
different.
an opening weekend or is it like 2 weeks later though too?
Maybe 2 weeks. When I did see the Saw, I mean, maybe the time I went was maybe the reason why it's not that many people.
Well,
And
that's
the
why I'm asking when you went to see
yeah,
it because an opening
yeah,
weekend maybe there are more. I mean, I
more.
wouldn't know. I mean, like I said, and
Yeah,
I don't really go to many openings because I don't want to be crowded with a bunch of people, and I like to because then you make everybody's
enjoy
making.
your
Oh,
popcorn.
well, then you have more people back there making noise and talking, and if you want to go there with some people so you hear them laugh and stuff, you don't want to be crowded in and you have the people blah 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 blah. But anyway,
Right, right.
and plus you have to fight people to get in. But that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
Well, I'm just cause I mean, I guess then you're thinking, well, why should you go? Because you know that in a month it's going to be streaming, and then while they're still doing them, there's going to be Blu-rays and 4Ks or
Yeah,
DVDs
yeah.
while they're still making those. But so why would you want to go pay? Well,
What,
you know how much
15
you pay
bucks?
to get into a movie and get your popcorn and
Well,
soda.
15 bucks. Yeah,
I mean, it costs more to get your snacks than it does to get in. So I mean,
that's so darn true. That's true.
that's always been the case, and that's
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I just enjoyed the screening and the noise and
I do
everything. That's
too.
why.
I enjoyed the screen. I would like to go back, and plus that big sound too. On
Yeah,
the screen, and
yep.
I
Yep.
mean, yeah, you can. I mean, you can kind of get that at your house too with today's system.
Yeah,
But still,
that's true.
it's not a 2-story screen where you're like, yeah, and
Exactly.
you feel the sound rumble all over the place. And there's other people that if it's a comedy, people are laughing or whatever they're doing, and just not just you and some friends, but a bunch of people laughing and get their reaction to a film.
Right.
But I'm just asking because, like I said, it's been a long time, but I know that you go see quite a few flicks. So,
Yeah. Yes.
huh? Okay.
Yeah.
So, uh, so
We covered a lot. We covered a
the
lot.
before we get to we have Tommy talking to Lori about what they're going to do for Halloween and all this stuff. Kept bugging her about the pump, like you said, and then I guess the part I haven't or forgot was that she was dropping off the key at the old Michael Myers house because somebody wanted to buy it.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, who wants to buy that house?
That house looked terrible. Yeah. When they showed us the house when 15 years after that happened, it looked terrible. It
Yeah.
looked so bad. Because I guess Jamie Lee Curtis's character, I guess the dad was like maybe a real estate agent or something
That's
like
what
that.
I got out of it too, because she was dropping off the key for them to go and look at it. And
Right.
but
It's like,
the
why?
thing, when they filmed that, they filmed the house in that shape first because they only had Loomis or Pleasance for a week, so they had to film all his stuff in the old house. Well, that would be the newer house. But then the old house first for some reason. Then they remodeled it, and then they remodeled
the kids see. The kids
so they went backwards in time on that instead of starting out with the fresh house and then. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I probably forgot. I mean, but it's still weird how knowing the history of the house, thinking, yeah, I'm going to buy this house, but it's a piece of crap.
Yeah, I would with the history, like you said, of it and what happened in that place. I don't know who would want to buy. Who would want to be in that?
You'd have a hard time flipping it if you're going to fix it up to flip.
Exactly.
I'm going to flip this house. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
whole I just could not. But I guess that was a way to get her to go to the house, and then for her that boy to keep saying, "You can't go up there. Watch me. I'm going to go up there." So
Yeah, and then you see Michael Myers with the little music again pop out.
yeah,
Right
yeah.
after she walks away, then you hear the music, and then he pops out looking at her.
Is that the first time he saw her then?
Yes.
So maybe
Yep.
that's why that got his attention because she came to his house.
Maybe. Maybe. It
And
has to be
plus
some
he's out
reason.
driving around seeing these girls and he's looking for easy targets.
Yeah.
And
Around
then
the
with this
neighborhood.
super hearing, you can hear them talking about babysitting. So
Yeah.
he knew they
Maybe
were
he
going to be
might have
alone.
some bionic ears too. It's like he has supernatural everything. Even his hearing is supernatural.
Yeah.
He can hear everything.
I
It's
just,
like,
yeah. But but are you, oh, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. Hmm. Well, the Broncos are going to beat the Chiefs.
okay.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Your 49ers lost again.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, so yeah, that music. And the orchestra he used was in Bowling Green, Philharmonic Orchestra. And I kept trying to figure out, is there a Bowling Green? I know there's a Bowling Green in Ohio. And I kept thinking, well, maybe there's one in California. Because I kept thinking, why would he come to Ohio to film this music? But he must have because I couldn't find one in California.
Oh wow.
So anyway, it doesn't. I bet it's just that they filled in the orchestra part of it. He did all the piano stuff and wrote the
Yeah,
tune,
with the
but they
music.
did everything else. They helped him out with it, and you can find that in the credits too as they scroll down toward the bottom, and he gives them credit. So
Wow.
it's setting everything up. They're all chatting on the old fashioned phones,
Yeah, that was funny. Yep. Yep.
phone
And when she
ringing.
she answered it, she answered her phone and no one answered. That was funny. And then she hung up and then the girl answered. It's like, why didn't you answer before? Why didn't you say anything before? It's like I have my hand covered or something. It's like that would make no sense. What are you doing? That was so
Yeah,
funny when she did that. It was like one of those like new fashion ways of telephone calls when you pick it up and no one's answers. And then
yeah,
they call again. Like, ooh.
yeah. Playing. That's when you actually. I mean, yeah, back. Yeah, using the old fashioned phone. That's how you communicated, though. That was
Yep.
it. You.
Yep. If you have it off of the hook, it's gonna be busy. You're not
Yep.
gonna be able to get no one. You
Yep.
you're you're stuck.
So what Linda's wants to go meet Bob, and she drops Lindsay off over at uh, with Lori,
Yep.
and then of course she's looking for the keys, can't find the keys. She goes in the house, gets the keys. Then when she comes back, did you notice the door was unlocked when she came back too? And it's like, well, wait a minute. But she didn't realize. I mean, she's just so thinking about getting laid that she's just
Just,
walking in there.
yeah, just totally forgot everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting, she sees this, and it's like they would say they would have you look over here, and then Michael Myers would come from over here and startle you. Like he's way over here, and then all of a sudden here comes Michael Myers. He's in the back seat, and he chokes her. And going real quick here, when after Michael Myers escaped, and I like that part where Loomis is walking out with that other administrator or whatever, talking about, "I told you he was going to escape." And then
Yeah.
what was the funny part though is he's going back to Haddonfield. He goes, probably. I said, no, he's going there. He goes, well, that's 150 miles. It'll take him a long time to walk. He says, no, he's in a car. He can't drive. Well, he did a pretty good job last night. Maybe someone here taught him. It's like
Yeah, that was funny.
that
That
was
was
a
so
nice
funny.
little snarky answer right there. Oh,
Yeah,
maybe
it
someone
was
taught him.
funny. It's like, yeah, somebody must have taught him when he was up in that asylum.
Maybe someone taught him to drive because
he was starting to drive. He drove off like, see ya.
Yeah, he was doing a damn good job last night. So
he did. Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. Now that you
and going back to the car part, and then when they go up and see her dad, the police officer at the hardware store, and then they leave, and then Dr. Loomis comes up, and he wants to talk to the sheriff. And Loomis is standing there, and you can see the station wagon over here, and he's looking for Michael Myers. Here comes Michael Myers driving right past him. That was kind of funny too, whatever, one of those moments. I don't think Dr. Loomis will get confused with Sherlock Holmes anytime soon. So
right.
So, and the other part is he stood all night behind those bushes, right?
Yes.
And then finally, hours later, he turned around. Oh, the station wagon's right over here.
Right. That was funny. And then he walked away.
What was he doing the whole time? Just
right.
like this the whole time, and all of a sudden he turns his head. Oh, it's right over here. He's watching the house and the station, and then he goes running around all over the neighborhood. But it's like, dude, that was kind of funny too. Like, it's like, what were you doing? I mean, really, were you just watching the house the whole time? Afraid to turn your head just a slight to see the station wagon?
Yeah, that was.
Or maybe
hilarious.
Michael Myers parked it there, thought he noticed it too. It was like he snuck by that way too. You never know. But it was one of those moments where you were standing there for how many hours waiting for him to come to the house that is across the. It's like, come on, dude.
Exactly.
Well, I guess he is a doctor. He's not like a detective, but still he has two eyes in his head.
Yeah, his thought process was just awful.
But it was okay. He's here, So that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So, and so, and she gets strangled in the car, and then that was his first victim in the car in the city. Then, right in town.
Yeah, that was
after the dog.
Yeah, after the dog.
That first person to. So, and all they think she's going up, and someone's going to miss her because she thinks that she's going to see Bob, I guess, right, Bob?
Yeah.
And then and she was supposed to set Lori up with the guy she wanted to go see, that Tramer guy, but for the dance, I guess there was a dance the next night, so I don't know.
Yeah, that was the plan.
They had Halloween shenanigans going on, and then the next night they're going to have a dance shenanigans going on. They're going to be pretty busy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And then the van pulls up with Annie, right?
Yeah.
Annie and Paul. And if you saw the van, that was your custom party get laid van back in the day.
It was, yeah. We're getting ready to get
remember
down.
Remember the saying, if the vans are rocking, don't come a knocking.
That's it, exactly.
And what got me was, okay, why he has this van? Shouldn't there be like things in the like a bed in the back, ready to get busy? But
no, they went in the house.
But here's what got me, and they're in the van. They're talking about getting naked or whatever, going in the house.
Yes.
And so Paul's like, I'm going to tear off your clothes, and then you're going to tear off my clothes. And then he goes, then we're going to tear off Lindsay's clothes. But Lindsay's the little girl. No, I'm telling you, I went back. Trying to make sure they weren't saying Linda.
Oh, okay.
And then I said, screw this. I put the captions on.
Okay, make sure.
And it said Lindsay. And
really?
I'm thinking, wait a minute, Lindsay's the little girl. So I don't know. Maybe he was supposed to say Linda, but I'm just thinking after all these years, no one has corrected this in this
little skit.
Yeah, but you're talking
Really
about
sick.
a little girl, so you're talking about, some kind of creepy stuff, ripping
Yeah,
off little girls'
that is
clothes.
a little sick. Yeah.
But I kept thinking, but Lindsay's the little girl, and I kept trying to make sure that I got the little girl's name right. But then I had the captions on; they called her Lindsay, and I kept thinking, okay, this girl's 9 years old. I mean, what the?
Yeah, what's
All
going
I could
on?
think of is that he was supposed to say Linda, and it never got caught, or no one caught it before. But he's saying Lindsay, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's the. There's no other girl. There's only three girls: Annie, Linda, and Lori. And there's no other friend that's called Lindsay except for the little
Wow.
girl. Because Lindsay and Tommy are the little kids, you know. So, see, if Peter was here, I was going to talk to him about the comic books that they showed at Tommy's little stash of comic books.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And, I could tell by the back of the ad that those are Marvel comics. And when they laid the comics on the couch later on, I paused the screen, and the top comic was a Godzilla comic.
No kidding. See, I
I can
didn't
tell
catch
by,
that. That was something a good catch. I didn't catch that at all.
well, when
Wow.
you're a comic book person and you see these things on TV, you pause and go, okay, what
See.
exactly is that?
Right,
Because
right.
there are movies where, you'll see them in the background and you're like, wait, whoa, let's see if they're correct.
Right.
See if
Yeah.
this is the correct time. Because sometimes if they do a thing and they go back in the past, you get thinking, okay, let's see if they got this correct. They had the right things. And plus you're curious as, okay, what do they have on that rack? I mean, I'm interested to know what's on this rack. I mean, what did they choose to put on this comic book rack? But yeah, so when I froze it, I could tell by the logo that it was a Godzilla comic. I don't know what the other ones on the bottom are, but usually that Spalding ad back in that time was on the back of a Marvel comic. So
Oh,
yeah, I was hoping that Peter would be here because he'd know that too, but
uh-huh.
I couldn't see the other titles. But I know they weren't Neutron Man and that other stuff she was saying.
Wow.
But I was just curious to see what the real book she was looking at. That would have been fun. But anyway, that was my little tidbit there.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But anyway, that was the thing at the van that caught me was I that was me. I caught it and I couldn't. That's what got my attention is when he said Lindsay. And I kept thinking, well, Lindsay's a little girl.
Wow. Wow.
But anyway, that was, I don't know. It's there, and I don't know. Maybe it's not a big deal, but you would think that someone would have caught it. Anyways, I caught it, and it's like, well, Lindsay's a little girl, and I don't think that was appropriate to say, but I'm just saying he's probably supposed to say Linda, and because Linda was supposed to distract Lindsay so they could sneak upstairs, right?
Right. Yeah, that was the
Whoever
plan.
was in the house, Annie or Linda, someone was supposed to. Maybe it was Annie was in the house. I don't know, but anyway,
Yeah, it was a little girl.
Distract the little girl while they went upstairs, right? And that was the plan, and then they would get busy. So
exactly, but she was already gone before.
Yeah,
before
they didn't find out so later when they got the phone call saying Lindsay's going to be gone all night. So that tells you that Lindsay was a little girl because she said Lindsay's going to be gone all night, and go, hey, that's cool. They went up, they ran upstairs.
Yep, it's time to get busy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite. That phone kept ringing. I guess when they were in bed trying to get busy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know why he was going to try to pick it up.
I don't know. Me, I just ignore it. I'm not going to, anyway, that's just me. I'm not going to stop. I'm just,
right. Exactly.
Wait, we're having a good time. I'm not going to answer the phone, but anyway, and they couldn't answer it because they weren't supposed to be there. Right. So they thought they could answer it and make it.
That's true. That's true.
But I mean, I'm not sure. I can't tell beforehand, but at least after the phone was done, that man only lasted 45 seconds.
Very short.
It's like, very short. Then again, I guess that's maybe an excited teenager, he just, but it's like, wow. But it seemed like she had enough time too, 45 seconds. I'm thinking, well, that must be nice to be able to please her in 45 seconds. I mean,
exactly.
Smoke your cigarette and go get a beer and get killed. So, yeah.
Yep.
So that was, Yeah, poor Paul had to go get the beer, and that was
Was it? That
that
was it
was
for
it for
him.
him.
Yep, sure was. Yep.
Well, that also showed you how strong that Michael Myers was too, because he grabbed him and just raised him up, which is a
Yep.
standard scene nowadays. But just pulled it up on that wall, got that knife out, and you didn't see it really go in. You just saw it later with him just standing there.
Yeah, he just stood there for 2 seconds, just standing there looking at him.
Yep. Well, that was supposed to be, from what I understood, Michael Myers. And if you look at it, he's kind of admiring what he did.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like,
He was demented.
man, I'm proud of this. I stabbed this dude, and he stuck on the wall, and
exactly. Yeah.
now there's one to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, in that house.
Yep. So then he goes up there, and like he's wearing that sheet. That was kind of weird too. Him wearing the sheet, going undercover. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess quite literally undercover,
yeah.
being a ghost. But because you'd think he wouldn't care, he'd just walk in and just grab her and just
Right.
Oh, I also got to mention that earlier when the doctor was going to go see his sister's grave.
Yes.
The gravestone was missing.
Right, it was. Yep, and it was
So
empty.
here we have Michael Myers carrying a gravestone, and those things are not. They're not light. They're not light, but yet no one sees them walking down the street
right.
with the grave. Doopty doopty doo. Don't mind me. I just got this big stone in my hand.
Of cement.
Don't mind me. Unless he got it at night.
On it.
Unless he got it at night somehow. But it's like funny. It's like, but anyway, but it was like a clean thing. It wasn't like he dug it out and he just took it out. But
right, yeah.
But that'll come back later. Here in a few seconds, we'll see what happened to the old gravestone that he totes around and that gets a piece of bread or a loaf of bread.
Yep.
I mean, what did you think? I mean, you were talking about that confused you too, the ghost thing.
It did. It really did. Because I was expecting the guy that was upstairs. Maybe one thing, like you said earlier, is that Michael Myers is smart too. Maybe he was smart and knew that the girl was going to be waiting for him to come back up with the beers. So instead of coming in and just attack her, he kind of lured her in by looking under the sheet with the glasses. Maybe that was his idea. I don't know. I mean, it was just interesting in how she was saying, "Are you going to come? Are you going to say anything?" Then she showed her. I mean, she just pulled up her shirt, saying, "Hey, want to see?" And then the sheet didn't move or anything. And then all of a sudden she said, "I'll forget you." And then the sheet moves in closer to her, and then that was it for her. But it was just interesting that maybe Mike Myers had some type of idea and knew that the girl was waiting for him, so he just kind of portrayed himself to be him for a little bit with the glasses and the sheet.
So well, maybe Michael Myers had a sense of humor we didn't know about.
I know,
Exactly. I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah. I'm
because
gonna fool this girl.
Why would Michael Myers? Because really, he has no reason to hide. I mean,
not at all. He got a mask already.
Well, he's got a mask. Plus, where's she gonna go? They're up in a bedroom. He walks in. She tries to get out of bed. He grabs her. He stabs her.
Yeah.
Over and walk out the door. I mean, I don't. Right. But
it was just a spooky. I guess they wanted to elevate the spookiness of the movie.
More suspense, and it's kind of funny, because she's just doing her nail, filing her nails like, like, hey, we had sex, but now it's time to file my nails while I'm waiting for my beer. And she's not really paying attention at first because she's filing her nails, and he walks in, we got my beer, So it was an interesting thing, and then she pulls down the cover, and you don't really see a lot, but it's there. I mean, more like a half nip slip. I mean, it's not like like anything like we talked about before. And then it's over with before, and then she just goes, "Do you see anything you like?" And then he just keeps standing there. And maybe that's the creepy thing too, because he just keeps standing there, and that's not him, and and she's just taunting him, and he's like,
taunting, Yep.
And then, of course, then she goes and calls Lori on the phone because, she's fed up with this guy. And That's when he makes his move.
Yep, and make those noise, and then she makes those noises. Those, it sounded. I mean, that's another comical thing, I guess you could say, because she was listening to it, looked like they were getting busy. She was like listening to it,
Yeah.
and it sounded at first that she was getting busy, and then she just kept on going and said, "Hey, are you okay? Are you okay?" And then all of a sudden, it was she was gone, or she died, and
Yeah,
then I
but
guess
he was
she like,
choking with that phone cord.
yeah, for the
And
phone,
and the
exactly.
actress had to tell him to choke her harder because if he wouldn't, it tickled her neck. And she started laughing.
Oh,
So
oh, really?
she said, look, you only need to do a little bit harder so I don't laugh. So,
Wow.
not the choker, but it was a little too, it was like it does. I guess it wasn't tight enough. It just tickled her neck, and they were laughing. So,
Wow.
I mean, you got to understand they're acting. They know, and I'm sure there's things that happen when you're rehearsing these things. I guess, but
True.
still,
True.
and plus you don't have a lot of time. But yeah, I mean that was it. He choked her. I mean, he it's weird how he kind of didn't just slash people. He also did other things, choke people, and did all
Right.
these things. So it was.
Yeah, he did. He did.
But then again, he left his knife in Paul's chest, so he didn't have it.
Yeah, it was there. That's true. He didn't do that part. He
I
just
don't
left it.
think he moved the body yet. I mean, I think it was still down there. He's going
Right.
to arrange things later on that, in a weird sense, work out just right for Lori when she comes over to the house.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, that part two is when after he choked Linda in the car, he carries her around the house, and then the boy he was going to go behind the curtain and scare Lindsay, the girl, but he looked out the window and saw him, and he started screaming and scared Lindsay, and Lori thought he was making a joke and yelled at him, "Get up, you're scaring Lindsay, not the bogeyman." But it got him only so far. But I'm just thinking here he is in this neighborhood carrying this body around the front of the house and in the front door. And I'm thinking, well, why didn't he take her into the back door? I mean, what the hell is
Right.
this guy doing?
Yeah. Yeah. That was weird. Yeah. When the
You
little
know,
kid
what kind
saw
of
that.
neighbor we're gonna see how strange this neighborhood is later on when we see Lori trying to get into a house, trying to get help, thinking, well, this is a friendly small town. They care about their neighbors here.
That's true.
That was kind of like, wait a minute, okay.
That
I
was
mean, you expect that stuff, maybe. I don't know. I would expect that stuff. But plug, small towns with you. Oh, you care about your neighbor, your friendliness. And she's screaming her lungs off. You think someone would have called the police just to shut her up. There's some lady out there making noise, and I'm trying to get her sleep, and one of those disturbing the peace type of deals. But no one gave a shit.
right. Right.
Or maybe they're all out that we get the same party as the people that they were babysitting the kids for. It was just a big gathering for the whole town, and they were just only ones in the neighborhood. Well, that's not true, but it's kind of funny how these things worked out in this movie. But
Yeah.
anyway, she dies by getting choked with the phone cord,
Yep.
and so
His
that's
next
two down,
victim.
two girls
Next
down,
victim is
and
the
one
boogeyman.
guy.
He was always the boogeyman.
Two guys, two girls, and a dog.
Yep.
So that's what we have so far. That's the score so far,
Yep. So far.
with one left. So
Yep.
and now, so well, so she starts worrying about Annie, right? Is that Annie? That's Annie, yeah. So she's worried about Annie because Annie was making that choking noise where I guess
Right.
you could kind of think that she was trying to make sex noises over the phone but in a way, then you
Yeah.
then you get that little thing in your stomach, like, well, maybe not.
Yeah. Something was wrong. Something
Something
is
was
not.
wrong.
Yeah. Something was not feeling right.
So she wants to go and investigate.
Right. Go across the
So
block.
I don't know how much time has passed because between her getting the phone call and whatever, the kids are in bed.
Yeah.
They've gone to bed.
Gone to bed. Yep.
Yeah. And she opens up the door and says, "Sleep tight." And I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm going to ask you something.
Okay.
Why would you leave the kids alone, sleeping or not?
You never do as a babysitter. You never leave kids alone, even though you think the kids is grown enough to just be there asleep. And I guess that's what our thought process was: is that because they're asleep, they're not going to be moving anymore. They're going to just stay in the bed, and you
Yeah,
stay in the bed. You
yeah,
trust that they will do what you say, but you
right.
should
I
never leave.
understand that,
You
but
should
what if
never
they
leave a kid.
wake up?
Yeah. What if they wake up? What if the one kid gets scared because he thought saw the boogeyman
Bad
and
dream, or they just wake up,
bad
go to the
dream?
potty, and they're looking for the babysitter, and the babysitter's gone, so they're scared.
Right.
And
Exactly.
then
Yeah. I
not
don't.
just as a babysitter, even a parent, you're like, well, you're not going to leave your kids alone,
No. No.
especially
No.
to go check out if something's wrong somewhere else. But anyway,
Right.
that's another thing you can nitpick about and with babysitting, what not to do lists or whatever. I know it's back in the 70s, but still, you're the babysitter, not the parent. I mean, that's your goal is to stay there with the kid.
Correct. Yep.
And I guess no one even thinks about calling the police back then. I guess like
Yeah, I know.
you know,
That didn't even come into fathom when she went across the street
well, it's
to
like
go to
yeah,
the house.
I want you to do a welfare check. Or then again, I guess she doesn't want them to get busted in the middle of the act and not supposed to be there. I don't know. It's a lot of things probably go through your head.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, she leaves. And then for some reason, the keys are in that crochet kit. I don't know why the keys are in there.
Yeah, that was confusing.
And
She
then she
goes,
leaves. And remember, when she leaves, she puts the keys in her pocket. The keys are in her pocket. So remember
exactly.
this.
Yep.
Remember this
Yep. Yep.
because I checked it. I wanted to make sure I saw them go in because I remember how I saw it twice. So I remember. So
Uh-huh.
anyway, she goes in and she goes over to the house and she walks in and she's walking around the house of horrors. And then Paul's body, the jump scare where the body's flipping around in the doorway or closet or whatever, that scares her. Well, no, first she sees Linda on the bed. And then
Yeah,
was it Annie on the bed? Annie on the
with the
bed.
little with the headstone in the
Yeah,
background.
that's the headstone. So he carried it. So I don't know where the headstone was at the plate to begin with, but he went and got it and carried up the flight of stairs and put it on the bed. So we know he
Right.
has superhuman strength because he's carrying this big old gravestone around like, no worries. Don't worry about him. And pops it on the bed. And so anyway, so you see it says Judith Myers or Judy Myers, his sister.
Right.
It's on the bed and she's laying on the bed. And that's what first gets her. And then she backs up. Then the body flops around Paul's body. And then timed perfectly, the door opens and there's the other body. Linda's body's in there. So there's 3 dead people and she's screaming and
Screaming. Yeah.
this is where she becomes a scream queen.
That's it. Yeah, she did. She was great with that scream. That scream was classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. You felt the fear of life in her when she was screaming.
Yeah. And plus and what also sells is that that she's kind of timid, she's kind of repressed. I mean, the other girls were kind of more outgoing, so they might have been a
Yeah.
little bit more tougher, but where she was coming from.
Yeah. She was kind of a nerdy kind of person.
Yeah. Also, one of the actresses, I forget which one it was, so they were that Jamie Lee was kind of jealous of them because they got to do all the fun stuff. And she said, well, she was more like those girls than the girl she was playing. And she was probably wanted to have some of the action with the,
gotcha.
But you know what I mean? She was more whatever that, she was more open and more like that too, not depressed. She was more like the other girls, but they're the ones that were chasing boys and getting kissed and all this stuff and dying. But they were dying, so
dying, yeah.
Well, be repressed and alive, or a little wild and die. So I don't know if that's a message or not, but maybe that was the message. If if you go out and have too much fun, you're gonna die. So you want to be more like Lori and repressed, and maybe you'll live longer. But anyway, so that whole sequence though, it was like one after the other though. It was really, at the time when you watched it, being that young, you're like, holy crap, what is all this stuff? Because you're used to the TV fare or the fare from the 50s and 60s, and it's not nothing like this thing you're watching for this kind of horror film that you're watching for the first time
Right.
with all this
Right.
kind of stuff going on. And so, but then she's not alone in the house. She's scared shitless. She's screaming, and she sneaks out. Well, she's trying to get out of the house.
Yeah.
And for some reason, she stands there, and you see that part where Michael Myers just slowly comes into focus in that doorway. And like, oh my gosh, holy shit, move your ass.
Yep, exactly.
And she starts walking away. And Michael Myers has found his knife.
Yeah. Yep, he
Well, I
found
guess
it.
he got it back since he pulled it out of the guy's chest to take him upstairs. So
Maybe because
he got
he's
it back from
back
there. He was done hanging Paul on the wall. So he went upstairs where he had it. And he cuts her sleeve off. He cuts her sleeve. So he misses her for the first. So for the first time he has bad aim.
Yeah. Yep. She runs out.
What did you think? When you first saw him in the doorway like that, was that kind of spooky to you too?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit. It was.
I mean, just seeing this white face just gradually come.
Like,
wow.
I'm gonna get you.
Yep, and then her just walking, and him right behind her.
Right.
So, what did you think about her falling over the railing?
No, I mean, it was kind of dramatic, I would say, but I mean, it was on point, but it's weird. I mean, she must have some really good body parts to actually literally get up and start walking after that, because
I was going to add and survive.
Exactly, because she fell. It was not like one story. I mean, it was kind of one story, but it was a long fall, and that's how it looked on the screen. It looked like a super long fall, and she went right down on the bottom of the first floor, and then she just got up and started walking towards
she fell on
house.
those steps too, and kind of rolled down the steps. And it looked like she fell on the floor and had a way maybe to land and maybe not. But she landed on these stairs, and I mean, she does have a slight limp after that, but and then you see, well, there's two things. You see her down there, and then you see Mike up top, up. I mean, they point the camera up, and you see him at the top of the stairs, and like, oh shit, she's done for now.
Exactly.
So, and I guess he had time to lock the front door. I don't see. I'm just trying to figure out. They locked the front door, but still, why can't she? I don't know. Is it stuck? I mean, because usually you have there's a button you turn and then it opens the door. I mean, it's not like you need a key to get out of the house. It's usually like the little, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
You turn the little button and the damn thing opens and you walk out the door. I mean, but I don't know if we're supposed to think that she's so hysterical she doesn't think of that, but I guess that adds to the suspense because then she gets stuck in the utility room. And I guess Mike got the foresight. I'll lock the door and I'm going to have the rake block the other door. So Michael had all this stuff figured out.
He was shaking it.
Yeah. Michael was just like, he's not as dumb as he looks.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, that was. So he's breaking through the door and she's trying to get out. And we think, okay, this is it. And then she breaks the window, moves the rake and gets out just in time. Just in time. Michael's coming with that knife.
Yep, just in time.
Then she runs across the street.
And
she gets to the front. Well, no, she runs around trying to get help.
Yeah, that's right. And then no one answered the phone. I mean, no one answered the door.
And she goes to that house and not, help me. The light comes on. Oh, she's going to get help. But then you see them, they close their curtains and turn the light off. Like,
right.
What neighbors are these?
That was hilarious.
I don't know if they were thinking it was some kind of Halloween prank. I don't know what the hell was going on. They're like, like, holy shit. That's like, okay, whatever. And plus, she's yelling so loudly, you think somebody would turn on lighter. I mean, it's just like she wasn't being quiet about it.
Right.
She was yelling. I mean, she is the scream queen, so she's yelling as loud as she can.
Help me, help me. It's right.
And when you're in that kind of the neighborhood, everything echoes. I mean, everybody's going to hear that.
Exactly.
But I guess either they were all fast asleep or everybody was out partying that night with the Wallaces and the other pit couple. I don't know. I just don't, but it was just weird how that, we're not home. We changed our mind. We're not home. So she runs back over to the house and somehow she lost her keys. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know if she had a hole in her pocket.
That's the part that gets you. It's like, how can she left with the keys? Where in through all that ruckus that she lost them? I don't know if maybe it's when she fell. Maybe that's what we can say is that maybe when she fell.
You're not going to. That would take because she wasn't hanging.
I know.
Well, the thing was. Well, a thing about like when you're watching that movie, you probably didn't notice it, but she was still wearing bell bottoms, which later in the 90s became apple bottoms. Just same thing, different name. So she was still, but back then jeans were tight. So I mean, it wasn't like these were loose fitting jeans like they wear today that go, like you wear that go halfway down your hips and like they're going to fall on around your ankles at any time. But these are tight fitting jeans and you can feel those keys in your pocket. I mean, these are tight. Back then, these jeans we wore them they were supposed to be very tight back then. They were not loose. They were, the girls used to say, we had to use crowbars to get those jeans on because they were so tight. We had to, you wore these tight jeans to show off your ass, kind of. But that was the thing back then. You wore very tight Jordache jeans. And this is late 70s, so they're kind of coming in. But but for them to fall out when she flipped over the railing, I just don't see it. I mean, even if you had loose pockets, it's still, that. Well, you're the engineer. What kind of force would it take to have those keys fall out of your pocket?
Yeah, it's impossible.
I mean, you're not a physicist, but still, but still, it's still.
Yeah, it's impossible.
I'm just trying to figure out, I'm not going to reenact it either. I'm not going to fall down some stairs to figure out if my keys are going to stay in my coat pocket. But usually they're buried in there. I mean, if you saw them when you watched her put them in, you saw she had to actually kind of squeeze her hand in those pockets because they were. But anyway, somehow she lost the keys, and now she's screaming for Tommy. And but this is a big suspense thing now because Michael is walking across the street.
Very, very, very slow, but quickly.
Yeah, but he has he's
quickly.
Well, he pounding on the door, and Tommy, and he's walking.
Do something at the window.
Yeah, and then she throws the pot up against the window, and
he's like, oh, okay.
He's like, what the fuck do you want? He didn't say that, but yeah, he's tired. You woke me up. Tommy, let me in. He's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. You're suspicious. Like, come on, kid, hurry up. She's gonna die.
Yeah, hurry up. And because sometimes these kids can take a long time to do something. You tell them to do something. 10 minutes later or a half hour later, I'm getting to it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you got the suspense in that thing too, didn't you, Jay?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, because he's walking across that street like he already knows the neighbors aren't going to help her, so what does he have to worry about? No one's going to come help this girl, so I guess I have free reign in the neighborhood. I'll be back to get you guys next. So, wait your turn. But he's chasing her. Yeah, but not chasing her, just walking. Like you said, he's just strolling across the street, like he's supposed to, point A to point B, and that's what he's doing.
Exactly. Yep.
Now that mask is a Captain Kirk mask, as you probably heard before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were looking for masks, and I guess they saw the mask. There's a Nixon mask there, then there was a Spock mask, and then the Captain Kirk mask. And the thing about the Captain Kirk mask is they said it didn't look anything like Captain Kirk or William Shatner. Just like it looked like a plain blank mask, like it did.
Right, exactly.
And they just shaved off the eyebrows, shaved off the sideburns, and darkened the hair, and put the white paint on it, and they had another. They bought a clown mask too, which would not have worked. He bought it just for the heck. He bought it, he just bought it, and they tried the clown mask. They put they had the Michael Mike. Had the guy wear that Michael Myers, and then that was their oh fuck moment. The fuck me moment. Oh fuck me, it was like that was it. And and it's an iconic look today. Well, they still make the mask today.
Yeah, there you go. You proved it.
They still make these things today.
It. Yep. You showed it earlier.
It's not something that's gone out of style.
Nope. It's there. It's classic.
So it was. So that's how that mask came about, and they had no description of the mask in the script. It just said mask, and I said, "Well, I'll go to a store and look at masks or some kind of. I don't know if you went to a Halloween store or kind of costume store, but he said that's what they had, and Nixon might have worked, him scaring people, him going around doing this with the peace signs, but that might have scared people. But anyway, it's just one of those. It's one of those things that just falls into place. You never know. It was weird. I mean, it's like one of those great happy accidents. Like, well, here's what we have, and so. Well, Tommy opens the door, and they shut the door, and then
the finale.
Yep. And she's telling him to go upstairs and whatever, and then she's trying to get that crochet needle, and at first I couldn't figure out how he got in the house until I saw that the window was open, and it's so. I mean, did you wonder at first how he got in the house when he showed up behind her?
No, I know. I mean, it's almost like how he started this whole movie started is with him coming get in very, very when he was a kid. So it seemed like he has that smart knowledge of getting into places without people knowing. So it's like, I mean, it's like almost like I knew that some way, somehow he's going to get in. You won't even need to guess. He's going to get in and very quiet.
Yeah. I guess I didn't think that far ahead. I was just, but anyway, to me, it was like, oh my gosh, there he is behind her. But I guess she's just sitting on the couch, and there he is. And so this is the first time he dies.
Yes.
Maybe. We don't know what happens when she plunges that needle into him and he falls over.
Right. And lays down, and she then talks to the kids and says he's dead. And then the kid says, the boogeyman never dies.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess the kid is right. Because the kid, I mean, the Mike Myers just popped up like almost like the Undertaker.
Yeah. Well, remember, when she stabs him, he drops the knife on the couch.
Right.
So now she has the knife, and she crawls over the couch with the knife and looks down and thinks, okay, he's dead.
Yes.
Then she flips over, and here's the first time. So this is knife drop number 1. She feels that she's safe, so she drops the knife on the floor.
Right.
So that whole thing with her creeping over the couch, trying to look, or kind of wondering, is he going to poke up and just grab her? Because you don't know what's going to happen. Because she's like really scooting along the back of that. I mean, the back of the couch like that.
Right, exactly.
So, and you're right. She goes up there and she goes she's out. The boogeyman's dead, and he's like, well, no, there he is.
Exactly. Oh!
She's saying one thing and then saying something else. Like, you're a crazy woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when she did she lock them into another bathroom in that bedroom?
I
I'm
think it was
trying to
just the
figure
bedroom.
out.
I think it
What's
was the
that?
bedroom. I think it was the bedroom. I think the kids went back into their bedroom. I think she told them to just stay there, don't move.
But there was that other doorway, and then they went into that doorway, and then they opened up, and I guess I was trying to figure out that maybe they had a little bathroom in there to lock them in because she already
Oh,
had a door open to get
maybe,
them out.
maybe.
But
I'm not sure, but I know it was closed, and she was like,
well, anyway, they were
"No,
locked in there, and
not there." Yeah, yeah. And then we get the doctor coming out of nowhere.
yeah. Well, no, wait a minute. Not yet, because
Oh,
not yet. We're waiting on this because remember, we have to wait for that part because he doesn't know where Michael Myers is yet. So this is later on. So she runs into the other bedroom, and somehow she okay. um, She opens up the balcony doors to the to, and then so Michael Myers is supposed to think she's the one that jumped the story off the balcony and got away, and somehow didn't break any bones. But yet, I'm
uh-huh.
trying. She's supposed to be fooled into thinking, oh, she must have jumped and got away, not knowing that. Well, if she's gone, I'll go kill the kids now. So I mean, that doesn't. Well, she hides in that closet, but
Right.
I don't know if that was supposed to be a successful ruse or not. I don't know, but she did open them, and I just kept wondering if that was, how you do that. You open up a door, making them think that's where you went, then you go and hide somewhere else. I mean, it's a old trick, but I don't think he fell for it. So, I mean, did you think about that at all, or did you just think that she opened up the balcony and then hid in the closet?
It's. I'm thinking. I mean, kind of the idea that you said. I think it was more of she was just so panicking and everything, and she just tried to find anywhere to go to be safe and try not to get killed. It's like she was trying to get out of any way she could. So it's like she was trying any type of measures to keep herself safe.
Yeah.
She was
Wow.
terrified. You could just tell her. I mean, that's one thing. Like the scare queen, like the scream queen, as you were saying, you could feel that she was terrified with this man. Don't even know who this man is. Why are you coming to get me? Why are you here? All these things are going in her brain while she's trying to save herself and save the kids. It's like
Yeah.
she was trying. I mean, I can imagine all the things she was thinking. It's like, why does this weird man with a stupid mask on is trying to kill me? Why? What did I do?
Yeah. She's noticed him around the whole day.
Yeah, yeah, he did. He did. Yeah.
So like,
Maybe
like
he had a reason, but she didn't know that
yeah, but she
because he
kept
never
seeing him.
talked.
She saw him outside the school. She's seen him
Right.
in the laundry. She's seen him,
Mhm.
like at the
The
bush,
house.
and so she's just seeing this guy. He was out and about, and she's the only one that was seeing her at the time.
Right.
So, what about this closet deal?
Yeah. That was interesting. The shaking and everything. Shaking.
Yeah,
It was so funny. It was like, oh my God. It looked like she was gone. She was a goner. I mean, it looked like it's a done deal. I mean, I thought Michael was going to shake that closet up and destroy it, and then she was gone. And then all of a sudden, she found some type of, I mean, she found a weapon and
Well,
able
she
to
grabbed the
stab
coat
people.
hanger and untwist. I mean, it's one of
Yeah,
those wired coat hangers where you can
yeah,
untwist it and make it straight
and
and stabbed him in the head again. Once again, stabbed him in the head.
yeah, and he walked back.
Then he drops the knife.
Right.
Everybody's dropping this knife.
The knife. Yep.
It's like hot potato with this damn knife. They keep dropping
Yep.
it everywhere, but
Yep. And no noise. You hear no noise in him. You would think after someone is poking you in the eye like that, you would hear like or nothing.
well, that's part of the thing, though. We don't know what
Yeah,
he is.
superhuman.
We don't know what he is. If he's some kind of supernatural being, maybe he doesn't really feel it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I keep wondering, what made him fall over when he got stabbed in the head with the needle? I mean, how far did she penetrate with that needle to make him fall over like that? I
Right,
mean,
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
quite a bit of force to go through the skull, but it was enough to make him fall over, unless you
Yeah.
got him in the temple. But you're thinking for a guy that can't die, he wouldn't just fall over like that. He just pull it out and keep it going. But
Right, yeah.
then you got to have that. But then you have to add that suspense. Or if she's sneaking over that couch trying to get that look like, is he still there? Is he dead?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it all adds to that suspense that Carpenter was going for, and you're like on the seat of your pants going, "No, don't look over, don't get the plate over and upstairs." What are you doing?
Right. Those
So,
type of words come out the mouth of people.
yeah. So she grabs the knife and stabs him again in the head, and I think he was in the head again. I don't know if or the chest or whatever. Then he falls over. He's dead once again.
Once
Or he's
again.
unconscious anyway.
Yep.
Now, let me ask you this. When she was coming out of the closet and going around Michael Myers, did you expect him to all of a sudden grab her ankle and stop him? Stop her?
No. No. No.
Oh, okay.
No. Smart. Smart.
I thought it was going to be one of the one of those spooky, one of those scared things where she's walking around. Once she gets around him, he just gets up real quick and grabs her ankle, and she's
Right.
trapped again. Anyway, as she's walking around Michael Myers, she drops a knife again. Drop number 2. So everyone's dropping this knife. So this is when she runs to get the kids. And this is even kind of more confusing, but yet then it has a play to the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, she gets the kids, tells them to go to the Mackenzies and call the police.
Yes,
Right?
she did. Yep, she did.
She did.
Yep.
She did.
Both of them. Leave the house
Uh-huh.
in the dark
Uh-huh.
at night and go over there and get the policeman. Yep, she did. Yep, I remember
Because
that.
I'm trying to figure out, why didn't she go with them?
Correct.
Why did she stay?
Yeah. I have no idea. It was all three of them should went out and went to the other house and tell the person at that house, call the police. There is a crazy man that had a mask and he's in that house. Come and help us. But no, she just said, kids, you go, I'll stay.
Yeah. So now she's leaving the kids to go outside all by themselves again.
All by herself,
She's
yeah.
leaving these kids alone a lot.
Yeah, she does. She's not the greatest babysitter that you would have. I wouldn't hire her for nothing.
I mean, she's trying to keep them safe, but then the thing is, I mean, I guess in '78 since the boogeyman's here, they keep safer than to go to the next door.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Boogeyman's
not now where you watch your kids you don't let them out of your sight anymore. This is '78 where kids still played outside at night, and especially in a small town like that. But still, we're still talking. We don't know what time it is. It's still probably late at night, I would imagine. I don't know what time it is, but still late. So anyway, it doesn't matter. She should have left with them, because why would you stay?
Exactly.
But
exactly.
so it's just, that kind of confused me, because why didn't you grab the kids and run like hell?
Exactly. Yeah.
But then again, you have to have this suspense thing in the final scene.
Yep.
So then, of course, the kids come out screaming, and that's where Dr. Loomis sees the kids. And that's how he knows where Michael is. So, and for some reason, she stands there in the doorway to the back to her back to Michael Myers. She's like, but it's I think this got me the first time. All he does is he just sits up, looks around, and goes, "That bitch is still here."
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck's her problem?
Right.
You must want to die. Because
I guess I got to do it now. She's not gonna leave.
I mean, why he's probably as confused as we are about it. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Huh?
Exactly.
But what got me though is that why didn't he? I guess either he didn't see the knife. So I wonder why didn't he pick up the knife that was laying right by him when he got up? But maybe he didn't see it because he just stood straight up. So I imagine he probably just got up and didn't see the knife.
Yeah.
But then Loomis is on his way in the house and he's grabs her from behind and starts choking her. So
Exactly.
So they're battling it out.
Yeah.
So were you waiting for Loomis to save the day?
I mean, he was the only person. He was like the hero of the whole movie, kind of, because he knew about Michael Myers. He knew 15 years ago and all this. So it's like it seemed like he could be the hero of the day to save her and save himself and kill Michael Myers. That was what his intent.
Well, you got the idea from the beginning that no one believed how dangerous he was.
Yeah. Well, Richard, I think my phone might cut off, so just in case, I'm just letting you know because I don't have it on. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, real quick, we've been going on here longer than then real quick, she unmasked him for the first time, so we get to see his face.
Yes.
And then she breaks away, and Loomis comes in, and somehow he has a gun, shoots him in the bedroom. Then he falls out over the balcony, and we see him laying on the ground. And what happens when Dr. Loomis goes to check him out?
And he's gone.
He's gone. So
just like me.
Yeah. So we know that he got up and walked away once again. So, and basically that's when the movie ends. So, and at that time they didn't plan on a sequel. They just had the movie end that way. They weren't planning on doing it. I mean, they probably didn't think this movie was going to do anything. So they didn't really. Why would you think about a sequel when you're saying, "We'll make this movie and I guess we'll move on," because you never know what a movie's going to do. And $300,000. By the end of the first run, it had made $60 million, or close to $70 million. So, and that's all word of mouth.
Yeah.
So roll credits.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. If your battery's gonna die, we might as well get the hell out of Dodge. We covered the movie, so pretty much. I don't know how much battery life you have, so. But basically, the movie was just word of the mouth.
Yep.
So anyway, he says his battery's going to die. I'll let him go charge up his phone, and we don't know what's next yet, but we'll figure it out and let you know. Everyone have a good night.